I'm going to do the audio. I hope that now the audio you can hear. It's going to be the audio from my other camera. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, so the only audio that we can hear is the audio from my camera, from my iPhone camera. So apologies if the audio is a little bit iffy. I have no idea what happened there. I will figure it out later on. So please let me know now if you can hear me, because now we should have sound on. So if nobody can hear me, then that's a bit unfortunate. Yes, okay, Marlena says yes, finally you can hear me. So apologies again, it's the really bad microphone. I have no idea why the upper microphone doesn't work yet. We'll figure it out later on. Yeah, okay. Whew. Let's restart. I was talking by myself here for a while, so you know, I wanted to do just so the first 4 minutes, just skip them. I wanted to do, like I said, the iOS camera is the one with the microphone now, so that should be fine. Wanted to talk about doing things in our sketchbook and drawing in the sketchbook, because you always see me making like finalized illustrations and super cool stuff and everything, but it doesn't tell the whole story. So what I usually do is I draw a lot in my sketchbook, and I draw almost every day. I do first maybe pencil sketching, and then I do with inking, and only later on, like let's say a week later or days later, I actually do watercoloring, because I don't mix them. I sometimes have time just for inking and drawing, and sometimes I have time for watercoloring, because watercoloring takes a lot of time. And if I want to improve and if I want to do something every day, I actually have to draw every day, basically. So I wanted to show you my sketchbook. This is my watercolor sketchbook. I have other sketchbooks as well that I use solely for pencil sketches, so I don't have those. But this is my watercolor one, in which I do certain designs, and I have to. This is an Etcher Labs watercolor sketchbook. The good thing about it is that it's 100% cotton, so that's nice. The bad thing about it is that it's it is a notebook, so I cannot actually glue the pages together. I cannot make things that will make it easier when the paper warps. So any paper, even 100% cotton, warps, right? But that's not important. I wanted to show you certain things in my notebook, and to tell you that your sketchbook, your notebook doesn't have to be perfect. This is just to try out. I don't do perfect things in my notebook. Sometimes I do, but not always, right? So I'm going to show you some pages, and bear with me here. You can see here that I was actually making tryouts for the Christmas ones. I had a Christmas live stream, and I didn't know how to draw the poinsettia, and I didn't know how to draw different things. This is my tryout for the watercolor wreath that I did, and I changed it a lot. I didn't have the bells in the final one, and I was just like kind of trying out things, and I had the idea to paint it, but I never got around to painting it because it takes a little bit too much time. Okay. Let's move on. These are another set of tests. So this is how I learned how to make roses. So you can see this was my first ones, not very good, and then I was going a little bit more to a better one, and I was trying color combinations. And this is how I study. this is like basically all my greens that I did and other color combinations that I do. So this is what this this notebook is for. So for example, here I was doing a lot of faces because I needed to learn how to draw faces. So I didn't even care that they look a bit funky. I just wanted to see color combinations. For example, this one looks more like The Simpsons yellow. It's like, why? So I was trying to learn how to deal with colors. So it doesn't have to be very perfect. I was trying different colors for skin tones. This is like another tryout. Here, I really like this one. Because this one I did it a little bit more with the blues, and I like the combination of the brown hair. I like this one with red, but it's a bit too stark, right? And this is where I actually was learning how to do just faces, no hair, just faces. How do I watercolor them, right? So having a notebook in here, I was doing hair, and the hair is sometimes difficult, so I think I like the middle one best, but it's also the last one that I did of the series, right? I started with this one, and then here I was just trying to figure out how to do hair. So yeah, it's always useful, and I'm going to talk more about how you use the notebook, but mainly I'm going to talk about how do you get to do the things that I do, right? How do you get, I mean, I'm not by no means an expert. I'm by no means the best there is here, but I did learn a few things along the years. So I started with flowers, let's say maybe 5 to 6 years ago, and I was terrible at it. I was just doing doodling, so I was doing kind of Zentangle style. So I'm going to use the Escoda brushes. So I was doing the Zentangle style of drawings, and everything was super flat. I didn't have any. I'm sorry that I keep putting my hand in this. Everything was super flat, and I didn't have any depth. I didn't know how to do it. But the important thing, what I learned is you have to practice, and the more you practice, the better it is. Okay, and you might wonder how much time do you practice? And there's this idea that you have to practice 1 hour each day, and it is, you might wonder, why do you have to practice? Okay, let's start. I'm going to start with the color, and we're going to go with the actual here. This is quinacridone rose, and it's the same for any type of art, but not only art, right? I don't want you guys to think that it's just for art, but for any skill that you want to have. Why is this idea of practicing it every day? Because you might think that you could practice not every day, but maybe in the weekend. You can say, well, I'm gonna spend 8 hours in the weekend, and then it equivalates with all the hours that you're gonna do during the week, right? Oh, hi, how you mean? Hi. So you might think, why do I need to practice 1 hour every day? Well, there's when I can do it in the weekend, or I can, trust me, when you're gonna try to do things in the weekend, you're never gonna do 8 hours in the weekend. I've tried. You can't sit on a chair for 8 hours. That's like, you're gonna get bored. Your mind will not be rested anymore, and you'll make mistakes, and you'll get frustrated. Okay? So that's something that you need to take into account, that if you do multiple hours, right, unless it's work for a finished piece, you're gonna get tired. Your hand is going to get tired, your mind is going to get tired, your vision is gonna play tricks on you, okay? So try not to put everything in one day, not to put everything in one go. It's very important. And 1 hour every day is because any skill, including, for example, holding the brush, doing drawing, learning how to draw, requires your mind and your hand coordination to remember things. It's all about repetition. So if you're going to do it 1 hour every day, or at least every 2 days, something like that, 1.5 hours, then it's going to become a habit of your hand to do, a habit of your drawing. So the way I learned how to draw flowers was I kind of practiced, and I was just practicing while watching TV or listening to like YouTube videos, and that really helped me, because you have to disconnect a bit your mind from your hand, and you have to do it. I will, probably have a different layer later on. So this is really important. Another important thing when you're learning is not to get discouraged. When you're watching somebody, for example, you're watching me right now, and you're watching somebody draw like this, and in your mind you think, I can do this, I can draw like this, I can definitely do this. But then you put your hand to the paper and your ink, and it doesn't go as you're expecting. It doesn't go as easy. Remember that there's a lot of practice behind the things that we do, and you have to give yourself the credit. You are trying and you're not yet there. So what is more important for me is that I see the progress rather than I see the finished piece. I'm not going to be upset that a finished piece is not going to look like the way I want it to look, because I know that I'm making progress, and this is more important to me than the actual finished piece. So hi, I'm really happy that people can actually hear me right now. So for those of you joining, welcome. We're talking about practicing and how do I get there. Somebody was asking me last week, one of my friends was asking me, how did I learn? And of course, everybody's going to be a little bit different. I started by buying a lot of drawing books, and I have quite a few. And I tried really hard to study from them, just like I studied for my normal job. I'm a software engineer. I studied for it. It just that didn't work. I find the drawing books very dry and very uninspiring, to be honest, like super uninspiring. It just didn't work for me. What I found the most success was actually following tutorials from other YouTubers, or trying to reproduce things that I find on Pinterest, for example, or give it my own spin and practicing. So I kind of gave up on books per se. So I'm just following tutorials left and right. I tried Skillshare for a while. I didn't really enjoy it. Not because they're not very good tutorials in there. It's just that the beauty of YouTube and the beauty of Pinterest or Instagram is that you can search for exactly what you want for that exact technique. And what do I mean by that? I don't want to learn things from scratch, like everything. I want a simple thing, a simple minimal thing for that particular piece. So I don't want to go through 20 hours of class to learn that 5-minute thing that I needed to learn, okay? It doesn't work like that, and it doesn't work like that for me either. I just wanted to be able to say, how do I watercolor white flowers, for example. That's it. And I wanted to learn just that particular item. And this is kind of how I went about learning. There is a funny meme that goes around the internet. It's called "Draw This Again," and you can search for it, Google it, and then you will see all the artists that are looking back, for example, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years ago on their initial artwork, and they're drawing it again, and then you can see the progression. What happens to our brains when we do things every day, and this is that's why it's good to keep your old sketchbooks. Our brains cannot recognize progress. So yourself, you don't see progress every day when you're doing it. And that might actually become really something that is like disheartening, because you're like, but I don't see progress, so why should I continue? The good part is, what I do is every month I go and I look at my paintings that I did in the month before, and I try to compare the first one with the last one in the same range. And that's when you actually see, because day by day you won't see progress because your brain is kind of getting used to the new thing, and you'll only see the bad parts, kind of, you know. So that's definitely not good, because it will discourage you, because you're thinking, well, I spent 1 hour every day this last month and nothing has happened, and you know, like, I will never become like whoever your role model is, you know. I will never become like that, and I will always be like this. But actually, subtly, I noticed that a lot after my Inktober. So I had all my Inktober live streams and all my Inktober parts, and I noticed that I was actually improving. Like, my first potion that I did differs so much from my last ones. I was so much more confident with my flowers, with everything. It is amazing how much progress I could do in just 1 month, and by doing drawing every day. And I didn't believe it. I was not a believer in this. I was like, yeah, right, like, they keep telling this one, but if it was really only that, a lot more people would have done it. But I believe that you just have to try it, and you just have to see it for yourself, because there's no interesting other way. And I wanted to draw parallel with my teachers in school. So I had a teacher in primary school, and he was my drawing teacher, and he was a very well respected sculptor and artist as well in the community in my city where I was. The point is, I was disheartening myself, although I was very good, and he was always telling me like, no, continue, you're doing good. I gave it up because I was comparing myself with him at that moment. But understandingly, he was like 50, 55 years old. He had an entire lifetime. I was comparing myself with him at that time, with that experience, and I was thinking, I'll never be there. I'll never reach that. And that's where I think a lot of people lose the will and lose the track to learn how to paint and to learn how to do really nice art. Because you have to have grit. I think one of the most important, I don't believe in talent. I don't think talent is something that you are born with. I believe that you have to have, the most important aspect what you have to have is grit. And by grit I mean not to give up, right? You have to keep at it. You have to you have to find the motivation. So sometimes there's a intrinsic motivation, like why are you doing this? And that motivation, the reason why you're doing what you're doing, needs to be strong enough so that you don't have the urge to quit. As in, sometimes you have motivation, let's say, but sometimes when you're at work, you're losing that motivation, and then, you know, your performance goes down and so on. And that's because most probably, like at your normal job, you are doing things, or there's stuff going on, and your mind just doesn't want to deal with it, and your motivation for why you're doing this, right, is faltering. And that means you don't have the good motivation for why, because a good motivation, a good reason why, right, will make you be able to say, I know it's hard, I know it doesn't work out the way it works out, but I'll continue because still my goal and my motivation is XYZ, right? I always give this example to whoever is asking me. I would say only that, like, you can get very good in a very short time if you practice. I saw some people that were going into, for example, hyper-realistic drawing, like within a year. You just have to practice, and you have to say to yourself, like, how much of my day am I going to spend on this realistically? This is the first one that I do. The second one I'm going to do with, it's gonna be called Schminke Violet. And of course, some people say, yeah, but isn't like motivation linked to money and stuff? No, not really. I don't think money is necessarily the best motivator in the world that you could have. Let me see. But a higher purpose is always a good one, right? And it's the same for any job that you have. It's the same for anything that you want to do. Like, what will be that motivation that will make you not want to give up? And my motivation for it is maybe, initially I just wanted to do it because I actually didn't know why I wanted to do it in the first place. I didn't know why I was getting myself into it, and then I was getting super frustrated whenever I was trying a new painting because it wasn't working as I wanted it to work. And I think I changed the minute I realized who am I doing it for, and I wasn't, and why. For example, for me, this isn't necessarily monetary, because I have a job and I'm not planning on quitting my job anytime soon, right? This is for me a way to also connect to others, to broaden my horizons, and to do something that doesn't give me stress. So, for example, at work, I work a lot, sometimes very long hours. And if some people would think that a software engineer needs to do what a software engineer does in their free time, because otherwise, I don't know, they're not passionate enough or something. What I learned in my pretty long career is that if you want to survive, and if you want mentally to survive, you need to take care of yourself mentally. And you need to make sure that if you do something extra, it's not the same thing that you do at work. And I'll give you one very stupid example. I used to play a lot of games. I used to play World of Warcraft. I'm still playing it, but you know, very minimal nowadays. And I used to, you know, do raiding and like really big guilds and, you know, organizing big games. And why did I quit is because it was starting to look like my job. It was starting to look like exactly like my job, and it was starting to give me the same anxiety and the same troubles, because you need a way to disconnect. So this is why I'm doing it. I need a way to disconnect. Secondary for me is I have my family. I am far away from them right now, right? We're always, oh, hello, Snowflake. We're all, welcome back. We are all a little bit in a dire situation in 2020 as well as in next year. Probably I won't be able to see my family. And I wanted to give my family something that they can watch and they can see me and they can follow me. That it's fun and they enjoy it. And, you know, I get to send them something that I make. And then, for example, my mom can watch me while I'm not there because I'm maybe at work, and she can watch one of the videos and she can hear me talking. And this is why I'm doing it, and this is why I continue to do it. And I think for me, this is a good enough motivator to keep me on the track, right? I do not have any wishes to compete with anybody in the realms of art, because there's so many good artists out there, so many good artists. But I do believe that there's a place for me as well there on the Hall of Fame. I think, you know, I'm there soon enough, and everybody will. Everybody has a space there, right? It doesn't have to be a competition. Why does it have to be a competition? I'm not gonna color in the whites. I'm leaving them really as highlights, right? And this is in my just my notebook. I'm going to add a little bit of white later on there. This one I wanna do let's say 2 types of orange. So let's do it. Marlena is really giving me kisses right now. Thank you. So I'm doing 2 colors. So let's see if this works. I'm going to put nicer orange in here on the top, and the darker color is going to be in the bottom. Let's see if this works. So, when I was learning how to draw eyes, it's very funny. I had to draw eyes. I'm still not very good at it, to be honest. But I was drawing the same eye over and over again. And although I had in my mind, like, I'm going to practice. Oh, hi Andre. Good evening. I said, I'm going to practice, and I'm going to practice every day for, I don't know, 3 hours. I was thinking, man, after the 5th eye that I did, I got so bored. It's so boring to draw the same thing over and over again, right? So this is why I think in your mind you might consider, no, it's okay. We can, you know, draw once a week and so on. You won't, because you will be very, very terribly bored. Trust me. I am drawing New Gamboge because the transparent orange is too much close to orange, and I actually wanted to do a sort of gradient. So this is why I'm doing this thing. This thing is in my notebook. You know, you can't make a finished artwork out of your notebook, usually. So this will stay in my notebook and will be a cool beginning of notebook. I will maybe need to add something way deeper than this orange. It's not as deep as I was hoping. For those who missed the beginning, we are talking about the importance of practicing when you're learning a new skill or anything new, and how it is more important to do a little bit every day, because your hand and your brain coordination works much better if it has practice every day than once a week. Like, you might think, I'm gonna do it once every Saturday and I'm going to do this many hours and it's going to be good. Secondly, when you're trying to actually do, trust me, I've tried that, to do a long session of drawing and teaching and learning and all that stuff, it's going to get so boring that you're gonna give up. And what did we talk about in the beginning? Is you need to find the way that works for you so that you don't give up. Because if you give up, then it's going to be very hard to restart it, because you're always going to have this in the back of your head that if I restart all of this, it's going to be the same experience and I'm not going to enjoy it. So do find the things that make you go on. I cannot find those for you, because those ones really truly only belong to each and every one of you. You need to find the motivation, and it's okay. I'm saying that in my experience, money is not necessarily a motivator, because, for example, what happens if you say, well, I want to make money out of my art, right? And that could be a goal and that could be a motivator. However, making money with your art is pretty hard, and you might not be able to make any in the first year or in the first 2 years or something, right? Even if you do YouTube. And money is a good motivator when they keep coming, right? When it's actually coming and you're seeing it and you have it in your hand, that's when it's a good motivator. But if you need to learn and to get better so that you can make it, and then you don't get any reward out of that for the period that you're doing it, then that's going to be very tricky for you to maintain for a long period of time. Maybe you'll be able to do it 3 months, 2 months, you know, I'm not saying not, but you're gonna give up because, hey, money isn't coming. And if money is your only motivator, yeah, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so I did the third one. Wow, it's interesting that the camera on the side shows it much nicer. Okay, now this will be green, and the potion is gonna be a combination of some green and some yellows, because potion is a very fancy potion. I'm not sure which potion should this be. I'm just wondering. I forgot this one to do. This is also one of them. Okay, so you might wonder, like, hey, this looks nice in your notebook. It did take me quite some time to reach this, so but I was happy with every little step that I did before. You can watch my previous Instagram post, like from a few years ago, because that's where I was actually mainly doing like the Zentangle kind of things and the doodling style and the flat style, like totally flat. This is not flat. This is like flowers in kind of 3D. And then you'll understand that I've come a long way, but doesn't mean that I was unhappy with the stuff that I was doing 5 years ago. I was actually happy. I was happy that I was doing it. And only this year, I started actually spending time every day. Only this year. And actually only from, let's say, from September. Inspiration potion. Yes, inspiration potion. It's good. It's a good potion. Johan. Right? So I needed a cool, these are very cool colors. This one might look warm, but it's not that warm. These are pretty cool with blues, so I needed a cool green here. Otherwise it will look a bit weird. So I'm using Hooker's green. Okay, who comes up with these names of these colors? Hooker's green. It's a bit weird. Always weird. I don't know why I even bother. Like, who had this idea that this will be a Hooker's green? Right? So I see improvement in myself, and I think I was watching some of my favorite artists on Instagram, and I was watching their posts from a few years ago. For example, I have one girl from Colorado that I watch, and she always does watercolor the same thing. She does a very muted background with trees. So every one of those is her background with trees. And at first glance you might think, wow, she's been drawing that for 5 years and it's the same thing that she's drawing every day. It's amazing, right? Turns out that once I looked at her earlier versions, right, like 2017, 2018, you can clearly see the progress. You can clearly see the progress in what she's doing now and what she was doing before. And this was such inspirational for me, because I realized that she started and it wasn't looking probably like she was expecting it to look, maybe not like she was expecting it to look in her head, but she kept on it. She kept posting. She kept, you know, adding things every day, and I can see the progress in 5 years. It's amazing progress. Like I can actually notice the details and the things that she worked on, and this is the exact same journey I want to do. Some people were asking me, why do I go on YouTube if I can't draw very well, or if I can't do things very well? And I always say, because you just have to start with it, because it's a journey. It's never, you're never seeing an artist until they die. They will learn and they will do things. Okay. Enough about that part and the deaths and the stuff. Oh, look, I think this green really looks really perfect for this. Yeah, looks really nice. This is Hooker's green. I'm going to, of course, do some darker lines in it to add some texture, but you know, for now this is good. There's another thing that I learned and that I wanted to share with you, and that is sometimes let's say I put myself and I say I want to learn how to draw faces. Like I did the last live stream, it was drawing faces. It was actually my third ever face. I decided I'm going to make one face every week. Whether or not I live streaming, that's a different idea. But I actually wanted to do one face every week, and then I did my first face, and the inking was okay, right? I mean, drawing is fine, but then when I did watercolor, it didn't turn out the way I was expecting. And then I realized that I did a bit of a mistake, because if I truly want to learn how to do faces, I need to learn how to do faces. But the part that I was unhappy with was the hair, which was not even the initial thing that I was going for. As in, I didn't go to learn how to watercolor hair, because that's a totally different skill that you need to have. But then I looked at the composition and at the thing as a whole, and then it totally skewed my perception and my worth, my sense of worth in my art, because I was thinking, oh, but it doesn't look nice. But actually, from a face perspective and exactly what the goal I had, it looked perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and say it. Make your goals, what you want to get out of that particular piece when you start with it. Like, for example, what do I get out of it? I want to know, for example, if these colors were together, because these are pretty cool colors. This red, it's not really red, it's more magenta. This is also a bluish purple, it's not really purple. And these are more, I know it looks warm, but it's not warm, because it's a transparent orange, right? So I wanted to know if this color combination actually works, because I'm planning to make some really nice stickers and I need to learn some color combinations. So this is actually what I wanted to learn. I didn't want to learn how to draw peonies. I know how to draw peonies. At least peonies are the ones that I know how to draw very well. The other ones are not. Right? And this is also my sketchbook. And this sketchbook, to be honest, although it's 100% cotton and it's from Etcher Labs, when you buy it, you have to buy 3 at one go. It can be quite expensive. It's not behaving like a normal watercolor paper, like my arches. Like, I cannot get the same depth and the same number of layers as on my arches, right? And it's okay. I'm not saying that you have to. This is a watercolor notebook and it's cheaper than your normal watercolor paper because it's a notebook and it's meant for testing things out, right? That's why. Where were we? Yeah, small goals, and be very explicit about the goal, because when you're very explicit about the goal, then you can also at the end criticize yourself, but criticize yourself on the goal. Don't criticize yourself on the stuff that wasn't supposed to be in the focus, because that's never going to work very well. Then you just discourage yourself from doing things. So yeah, ideally it's kind of a self-motivating part. And let's talk about criticizing. Criticizing is okay to do for yourself. I'm not gonna criticize other people. It's not my job to criticize other people, to be honest. Only if they ask for it, obviously. But I am just criticizing myself with the purpose of learning. I'm not saying this looks really bad because it doesn't give me anything. Like, okay, this looks bad. Why? Right? And I'm immediately kind of saying like, okay, I made, like, next time if I were to do this one again or another painting again, I would do the colors differently. I would do the gradient differently, maybe. You know, this is kind of the things that I'm criticizing myself. Okay, what colors would work very well with this? It needs to be a cool brown. And I think the only cool brown I have is the sepia brown. I'm wanting to do brown for this one. I need to let the leaves dry so that I can do the small lines, right? Okay, so I'm gonna drop some brown here. And I'm going to just yeah. So I'm trying to learn about cool colors and warm colors and how they work together, and how warm and how cool is a color. It's very important. Okay, that's a nice one. Inside the potion is going to be a combination of this kind of colors with the green, and let's see if that works. Okay, that green I'm gonna put on my palette. Okay, and when I say 1 hour, I mean it. I mean 1 hour. Find a routine. I do my 1 hour in the morning when I'm waking up, just before work, because that's when my mind is the more sharp. I don't know when your mind is sharp. That can be, it can be in the evening maybe. So let's see. Let's put in some color. And now the question will arise, well, Claudia, are you really doing it every day? No, I'm not really doing it every day. But I'm doing it on most days. Another very important, as in one of the most important things to remember, is taking enough rest. So I always think for myself whether I had enough rest or whether I need to take a small break. So if it's a day where I feel like it's not really going for me, it's not really working, I will go and I will not do the drawing, because it's more frustrating for me when I do a drawing and I'm not at my 100% and my brain isn't working very well and I'm tired and I'm pissed and all that stuff. It's very frustrating because that's when also my drawings don't work. They don't. I wish they would. I always was amazed by you know that there's this artist, like there was this article about Adele, and there she was saying they were asking her how did she do her these songs that she did, and she's like, yeah, I work best when I actually had heartbreak and I actually had then I can sing about it, and that's how I get my ideas. So when she gets her ideas when she's very upset and when she's heartbroken, she gets her best ideas and her best singles. And I thought, well, that for me it works the other way around. When I'm calm and when I'm rested, when I'm happy, also, like my potions and everything are happy. My drawings are happy, and I get the best results. So you have to know what works for you. Maybe you're like Adele. Maybe you're like Adele because, you work best when you're under stress, or maybe when there's a very hard deadline for you that you wanna you want to achieve, and that's okay. Everybody is different. Everybody works very different. Okay. Let me think what needs. This one needs the lines, so I'm going to try with a very dark green to do some lines, and I'm going to use the very tip of my brush because I didn't do them in this requires really concentration. I lost the train of thought, what I was saying. I hope you can see what I'm doing here. Right? Can you see? Yeah, you can see. Okay. I'm also answering for you all. Trying to add some structure into my painting. Okay. I don't think I will have the time to do the moon, and maybe the moon will do it next time. The moon is a really nice one that I wanted to do, and I actually had very special colors. But it's okay, because this is, you can take it as, from me, take this one as your 1 hour of practice. So if you watch me, if you follow me, and we're doing this live stream together, why don't you also stay and practice while you're watching me? I don't mind. Honestly, I would say I will be happy, because that means I am helping you also concentrate and inspiring you to do some drawings of your own. So this is a challenge that maybe you wanna do. So if I'm going to make a potion sticker out of this, it's gonna be looking really nice. And already, for example, I can already see some criticism from my side on this piece. But I'm not gonna beat myself out. This is just a test drawing. This is why I'm doing this, so that I can learn what works and what doesn't. And for example, I think I went way too heavy with the lines on these leaves, and this one is much better on the down part, right? So yeah, we learn like how do I need to hold my brush so that I do way smaller lines. And this is how we learn. I'm going to add a little bit more of a blue tone there. Let me think, which one should I do? Paints, gray, blue. I need to do really just so I wanted to add the blue of the bottle, but I want to preserve the, this is where, although it's 100% cotton, doesn't really work. Because if it was really good paper, you could have lifted a lot more of this, right? Let's see. Just some blue. This is a learning experience for all of us. What happens if you add blue to this? Okay. On Arch's watercolor, I would have been able to lift way more of the blue. And on this one, apparently, I can't do that. So, you see? But it's okay. I still think it looks really nice. Okay. I'm gonna need some white here, some white here. And maybe I'll do it so that it pops out. I'll do it here with the blue all around it. And I'm going to use a really dark blue. The question is, this is a cool blue or is this a cool blue? Like, I need to find a blue that is cool. Ah, thank you, Johan. So you're drawing while you're watching me. Oh, that's nice. I didn't know. I thought you were the moderator and you're not doing anything other than moderating. Oh, such an evil person I am. Such an evil person. Okay, I'm just going to do a tiny little bit of blue all around and try to... This will make this potion really pop. Okay, and now I'm going to go with the brush. So another part that you need to be very careful whenever you're doing in a sketchbook, don't get too stressed about the color. You can see here that this paper is a bit repelling the color in certain areas. It's about the sizing of the paper and all that stuff. Like normal watercolor paper wouldn't, like, even if this one they say it's 100% color cotton, right? Normal watercolor paper, you don't have this kind of repelling, but it's okay because this is just, I always say, it's a test, it's a thing that I'm just playing around with, right? It doesn't have to be perfect. Although you might think, oh, Johan can multitask. Okay. Yeah, you can multitask. Okay. 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 Let's add some white gel pen. And now I'm going to do something that maybe I have in front of me a bucket with stuff. So, tip when you're doing the white highlight on a bottle, it needs to follow the bottle shape. Okay, so ask me how I know. I'll tell you how I know, because I did the mistake in the past. So I wasn't following the bottle. Okay, there we go. That looks nice. Yeah, going to add some more highlights here and more highlights in the middle. And this was it for my 1 hour session. If you have kids and so on, that might be difficult. Doesn't always work, but find yourself a cadence. Find yourself the cadence that works for you. Is it once in 2 days? Is it once in 3 days? But just don't give up and don't put it back. Don't say, I'm not gonna do it because I'm bored today, or make the time, put yourself to work. It's important, right, for your betterment. Of course, if you want to do what I want to reach to where I'm doing. If you have a different opinion and a different way of learning, that's also okay. Everybody has different ways of learning, okay? I do, everybody else does. Okay. I think we are on the hour, so again, apologies for the beginning. Thank you all for joining me. I know that maybe the sound is not what it used to be because I only had the sound from my iPhone camera. I promise I'll fix that from the next stream, okay? But this was an hour in my sketchbook. And I hope that I inspired you to make some goals. Now it's the time to make the goals. 2021 is around the corner. And we can make something fancy and we can actually see the improvement that we can do. I always say, what will make you happy at the end of the year? Like what change in yourself or in your art or in anything will make you happy at the end of the year, and go for that, right? Because in the end it needs to make you happy and not anybody else, right? So that's it. I'm going to say goodbye now. Have fun. Enjoy this evening, and I hope that the next week, I know it's a work week, but I hope that you guys have fun also at work, and that this particular hour has helped you a little bit relax and have some fun, okay? Thank you, and I'm going to stop the stream soon.